Hey everyone, Corey from Aquarium Co-op. Today I'm going to show you how to make a Kaldness media filter. It's a fluidized bed, and let me show you what they look like. So here's one of them we've got running, and this is a 2-liter bottle. It's weighted down and run air through it, and the media itself is tumbling all the time, and that tumbling action, one, cleans itself, so that's a good thing. Two, it only lets the strongest bacteria survive, and that's the way you want it. You want this nice tumble going, and you can see in the center of the rings there, they're a little bit dirty, but on the outside they're real clean, and so that's where all the really strong bacteria is harbored. And then we've got another one down here, and you can see there, just another 2-liter bottle. And we're also going to show you how to make them in a smaller variety as well. So stay tuned, and we'll show you the build. Alright, so we're going to build, the DIY Kaldness media. I've got one right here. This is kind of a prototype at the beginning. And this is just a water bottle. And I used some gravel in it. And this gravel, oddly enough, if you look at it, it's kind of gray and stuff like that. It started out as black gravel. Well, what I found out was if you use an epoxy coated gravel, this stuff that's going to be bubbling around there is going to strip that coating off. So I don't recommend that. But you do want something to weigh it down, and that gravel wasn't even enough, so I used a magnet here. That can be done as well, but I'll tell you what I prefer. The best thing I found is these glass beads. You can get them at a dollar store, you can pick them up at on Amazon. I'll put a link down below with all the supplies you're going to need to build this, including the media. You buy the media on Amazon. I don't remember exactly how much this was. It might have been, 13 bucks or 18 bucks or something like that. But brand new media, and this is K1 media. And there's different ones, but the K1's the one I use. It's kind of got the star pattern in it, and yeah. So the other supplies you're going to want to build one of these: some airline tubing. You'll need an air stone. I use the Never Clog air stones. And you're going to need a bottle of some sort. I recommend one that has a cone shape at the top, because what we want is air that's going to come at the bottom. It's going to rise up here, and we want it to tumble all the media. If it was a flat top, we'd get stuff that's stuck. So the other thing you need is a way to make holes in a bottle. You could use a drill. It's kind of a pain. I don't like it nearly as much. What I like to use is a soldering iron, and it melts right through plastic very quickly, and you can make lots of holes in a short time. And you can pick up a soldering iron for usually 10, 12 bucks, sometimes less. Harbor Freight has them. I think I saw them today at like $3 or something. But we're not going to solder any solder. We're actually just going to melt plastic with it, and that's nice and hot. And so we're going to prep the bottle by taking off the label here. Alright, so label's off. You can clean this up a little bit. You can wait while it's underwater for a couple weeks, and this is a lot easier to get off. You can get it off now if you want. But what we need to do, so typically there's a line on the bottom of these 2-liter bottles. I like to fill that with what's going to weight it down. So I put my glass beads up to that line, and then somewhere at the top we need to let air out, because we're going to put air through the bottom, and air is going to come out the top. So we know for sure we want holes right around this line. I'm going to do a bunch of holes all the way around so water can come in. Then we need the air to come out, and then we're also going to drill one in the cap. The reason being is if I drill holes right all around here, all this area up here is going to fill with air, and so we have to have a escape at the top as well. So this is definitely one of those things you probably should be doing outside, but it's raining, and I need to shoot a video, and I don't want my camera to get wet. So we're going to start by doing a hole in the cap. Real easy here. Definitely be very careful with the soldering iron. They're crazy hot. So we're literally just going to go right through the center of it. and it melts right through. You see there's a bit of smoke there, melting plastic. I'm trying to breathe much of that in, but now we have a hole through it. That was simple and quick. So then we need to do holes in the bottle. I'm going to zoom in on that so you can see how quick and fast that process will go. Alright, so you probably can't see it very well, but there is a little line in the plastic here, and we're just going to make holes. So I'm going to dip right through. You can see how fast that goes through, and you might want to do one every inch or inch and a half, and you can just see how fast it melts through plastic when you have a hot soldering iron. So it's a fast job for sure. Definitely don't want to be breathing these fumes, and this is melting plastic, can't be good for you. Also want to be careful, if you touch that molten hot plastic and it gets on your skin, it stays on your skin until you can peel it off, and I'm just going to tell you from personal experience that hurts. Alright, so then we need to do a top ring, and let me adjust the camera here. Alright, so we need to do a top ring, and usually I pick kind of right where, somewhere in this shoulder area where it's coming to its point, and I just kind of pick a point and then I kind of make a circle around. So you just right through, and you just keep doing that. And you can put more holes and things like that. I don't necessarily think you need that many. I just do as many as I think I'm going to need. I could Swiss cheese this thing, but I'm not sure that's better. Alright, so now that we've done all of our holes, we can see here we've got lots of holes in this thing, both top and bottom. We can unplug the soldering iron and put it off to the side so that no one's getting burned, including ourselves. Especially if you've got kids in the house, that type of thing. This thing will stay hot for quite a long time. So I'm just going to leave it there, and I'm going to be mindful of it while I'm letting it cool down. So one of the next things we want to do is we want to get our airline tubing, and we want to get our air stone. And the goal is we're going to put the airline tubing through one of these bottom holes, and then we have to snake it all the way through the top here. So we kind of just, takes a little bit of, wow, what are the odds it'll come out the side? That's got to be like 1 in a million, but I'm trying to get it through the biggest hole in the bottle, and it goes through one of the small ones. Almost there, just got to get, there we go. So you can see here we've got it through the bottom on this side and through the top over here. We can now put our air stone on. You want to get a pretty good fit on there. Now we just pull it back down through, and this is where all the bubbles are going to come out to make our tornado action, or our circular action in this bottle here. Next, we need something to weigh it down. I have used gravel and crushed coral. What I found was something that fine trapped a lot of fish poop down here. I found that these beads don't do that, and at $1 or whatever low price these are, and the weight you get, it makes a lot of sense. So now the worst part of this project happens, and that's getting all of this stuff into the bottle. Now if you're going to make a bunch of these, what I recommend is you get yourself a bottle and you cut off this, and it makes a funnel, and that makes it pretty easy. Being that I'm just doing a couple today, or one for a video because I've already made a bunch, I'm just going to use my hands, and so I'm just going to show you, kind of how painful that is. But you kind of just, get them to go in there, and then we'll cut to the part where that part's done, and we'll show you the next part. All right, so we've got lots of little green stones in here, nice and heavy now. When we put this into an aquarium or a pond or something like that, it's going to sink right away. Now, we've got to get media in there. And that's kind of the same process. And the important part is, when you have new media, it doesn't tumble at all. Like, it doesn't tumble very well. And so what happens is everyone wants to maximize their bottle here, and they're going to crank this thing full. And my recommendation is fill it halfway, so up to this halfway mark, and just call it a day. and then you can come back in 2 months, 3 months, something like that, and get some more in there. You can get it up to 3/4 full and get it tumbling. I usually don't even bother with that because these things are so efficient at breaking down ammonia and nitrite that I don't even worry about that. But I basically fill it about halfway so I can get a good tumbling going. And I'm going to do that now, and then we'll check in after that, and I'll show you installing it in a tank and things like that. All right, we've got roughly halfway, maybe a little bit less than halfway. We're going to put our cap back on. And looks like we've got probably a little more than half left. And that's because this is a 2-liter bottle, and this is a gallon of Kaldness media. So in theory, we might be able to make 3 or 4 of these out of one bag. So that's pretty efficient. But I'm going to connect this up, and I'm going to show it to you side by side next to those ones that were already cycled. All right, so I've got one of the cycled ones up out of the tank. And you can see how much media is in there, and you can see the color. The color is kind of a brown, and that means it's fully cycled with bacteria. We've got the brand new one we just built right down here. I'm going to put them side by side just to do a little bit of teaching and educating here. So we're letting this kind of fill up with water as it sinks. All right. So you can see the 2 color differences, and that's how you know when your media is cycled. And that's probably the biggest downfall to this type of filter. While it's crazy efficient, they use it in commercial fish farms and all kinds of stuff, saltwater facilities. If you're watching this video, you probably read about how good it is. It is very efficient. That being said, it might take you 3 or 6 months to get your media looking like this and working this well. Now let me start turning some air on over here. So we're starting to turn the air on, and I'm just going to let it go full blast here. And you see it's not doing anything yet. It literally just isn't doing anything. That's usually what it does for the first day or 2. If you really are struggling, you can take some more media out. But it takes a while for it to start moving on its own. And that's the downfall. Is you build this filter, you're super excited, you want it to be doing this, you see it in videos doing that. Instead, you get this, and you're going, well, that's not doing anything. Aeration is important, but more isn't always better. Like, when I first built some, I thought, well, maybe I just don't have enough air, and that's why I'm not getting this, or why I'm not getting this. But I should be able to turn this down and it'll still work just fine because I've run it under, relatively low air. And I just have to find the hose to do that. In theory, it's going to be right here. Okay, so I can turn it down. And I've just got a little valve here that I'm doing that with. But we can slow the flow down. And it doesn't take that much flow. It does take a decent amount to get it started, like when you're first cycling it. But once I think I may have turned it all the way off there. So you can see we're just running the same build as this one over here. And I can just turn on a little bit of air. Let's see. So let's see, that much air. And it's going to fluidize. Look at that. So barely any air. If I turn it back off, I can just demonstrate that again. And the reason why this works so well, and why this media is kind of expensive for plastic, is it's neutrally buoyant. And so that means when bacteria colonizes on it, it is, basically perfectly buoyant to flow in the water, and that's what gives it that tumbling action so well. And so, we're just going to turn on a little bit of air again. There's a tiny little bit going. If I just increase that a tiny bit, I think it'll start going again. Of course, it's not increasing fast. There we go. So let's see, is that quite enough? It's starting, it might. It's starting to do its thing. I would say you would need more airflow than that, which that should be almost any pump. And just a little bit more, and you can see now it's really moving. And that's what you want, is you want everything constantly moving in there all the time. And so I barely have it going very fast. This one's really cranking it out, and yet it's still not moving because it's not cycled. It doesn't have the weight of the bacteria on it to make it move, or to keep it moving middle water. You know, so I can keep it going this slow, or I can crank it up, and I can allow a lot more air to go in here. And yeah, so that's how you make your own K1 filter. You can use any bottle as cone shape. The biggest thing here is having the cycled media. It does help if you already have one of these going. Like if I take a handful out of here and I put it into there, this is going to seed a lot faster and get going for me. But if I was to chime in tomorrow, you'd probably see a little bit of action going in here. Barely, it'd be all, you know, it wouldn't be very fluid like this. But as time goes on, this will get better. And that's what you're waiting for, is just that. And once you have a really seeded filter like this, it really will process a lot of waste. You know, I've got 300 Yellow Labs in this 75 gallon, and it's just tearing through waste, and I can power feed them and things like that. So the one thing you want to watch out for, you know, these holes down here, if I had really tiny fry, let's say guppy fry or shrimp, I've had shrimp get stuck in here. And so it's not good for that. But any tank where, you know, you've got decent sized fish, great for koi ponds, that type of thing. You can run these in your sumps, in a fish room like this. They're just very efficient at breaking down waste. They are not very efficient at looking good. There's no doubt about that. You could build one that looks decent probably, but this is quick down and dirty. Probably 20 bucks or less to get it done. You might be able to use parts you have, like a 2-liter bottle. You probably have airline tubing. You might have an air stone. So really, you're just buying some media and some little glass beads, and you're good to go. So thanks for watching this video. I'll be making more videos. Every Friday we put out another video on either how I'm breeding something, how I'm building something like that. Thursdays are my day in the fish room, where I'm shooting videos like this, showing you what else I'm doing. I'm not always showing you how I do it, but eventually everything gets shown. But you're going to see progress in my fish room, and that's everything behind me there. And then on Tuesdays, we've got the quick tip where, you know, in about 2 minutes or less, I show you something cool that you can implement into your routine for your fish room or your fish tanks. And then Sunday, we have Real Fish Talk with Lamont and myself, and we tackle issues of questions you guys bring up, and we use our knowledge to answer as best we can. So until next time, we'll see you in the next video.